And by the way, and this is where people fall down on creating a show. They focus on how many thumbs up am I getting? How many comments am I getting? Those two sisters, Tom, they didn't comment. They didn't share the YouTube video.
No.
They didn't like it.
Yes.
They told their brother to call this guy, and they picked up the phone and called me. And then I had an interview and got 9 lots, and then so on and so forth going on into the future.
Welcome back to the podcast, guys. Today I've got Byron Lazine in the house. Played some shuffleboard with me last night and some dice.
Learned how to lose at both games.
Yes, but it was fun. It was fun. Hey, so today we're going to talk about agent podcasts. We're going to talk about agents, specifically this one, who was recognized by Inman and others as an innovator in the space, educating agents, doing a podcast, 2 different shows, plus a radio program. So, Byron, why don't you start by saying hey to the audience and give them a little backstory.
Sure.
Who are you? We'll get into the details of all the podcast stuff, which is what we're going to talk about today. But give a little backstory. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you do? And we'll get into the teams and all that stuff.
Yeah. So Byron Lazine, Connecticut Shoreline. I always go Connecticut Shoreline because nobody knows these little towns, right? In Connecticut. And backstory, I'll make it super quick because I told the whole story on Tom X
that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, I was like 15 or something, right? Yeah. So got my taste in real estate, 19 to 21, bought 3 houses at the very peak of the market, probably even overpaid for all of them.
Sure.
That's how,
2005, 6.
Oh yeah. Didn't know 4, 5, 6, right?
Yeah.
Didn't know what I was doing. That was my 19 to 21 years, right out of high school, thought I knew everything.
Yes.
Wasn't listening to my parents, wasn't listening to agents, wasn't seeking the information that I needed to seek out.
No mentors, no one, teaching.
Correct.
Lessons.
Right.
Yeah.
So put all my money, all my savings into those 3 houses, lost everything by my mid-20s, went completely bankrupt, hated my life at that point, was living in regret, hated my job. It was just tearing me apart. So got back into real estate on the sales side. Yeah. Obviously, hindsight 2020, should have done that a long time ago, but all worked out. Started to put my head down, get back to work, and really changed my life the minute I got into sales and started to do the right thing, seek out the information, be a learner first. Yep. And the last 7.5 years of my life have just been absolutely incredible. It's changed my relationships, my family, everything.
Yeah.
So, and I don't regret my experience because, listen, when people say, what's your education? It's an Ivy League degree in real estate. Yeah. From getting my teeth kicked in.
Yes, exactly. Lose everything. It was funny. I was just listening to Joe Rogan and Kevin Hart, on a podcast, a little snippet, right? Getting ready this morning. And it was funny talking to sort of Kevin's experience was showing my kids, right? Who basically want for nothing, have the easiest life on the planet. He's like, I grew up in the streets of Philadelphia, and literally trying to get them to understand, right? All great things happen from getting your ass kicked. Right? That's where all the lessons come from. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, my first year in sales, I was waking up instantly at 4 a.m. after going to bed at 4 hours every single night because I was so motivated to prove people wrong. I left a job that was paying me 6 figures that I was one of 8 people that got the job. Yeah. 2,000 people applied. Wow. I got in because my dad worked there, right? It was a nuclear power plant. Yeah. Right? So when I left during high unemployment years, really high, 9, 10, 11% unemployment, people are like, you're nuts. You're going into real estate to sell homes where in Connecticut, nothing was selling. Yeah. And the first year, I basically got my income back that I left, and then it just started to climb from there.
What did you do at a nuclear power plant?
I was a nuclear mechanic.
Really? Yeah. Really? I wish I could do the George Bush, nuclear. Right?
Yeah.
Is that
when I
doing that right?
When I bought the 3 houses, 19 to 21, I was working at Electric Boat. They built submarines for the Navy. Yeah. So I had that little thing on my resume. My dad really got me into that job, but I hated it. It wasn't what I wanted to do. It was literally, I felt like I was in jail. You literally are in jail because it's gated and barbed wired to get in there. But it really put me in a bad place. Luckily for me, I've got a wife. We've been together since we were 17 that is fully supportive. She married me, Tom, with her money at that low point of my life.
You told me that story, I remember. And how long have you guys been married now?
Well, that's a bad question because we've been together since we were 17. And I don't.
How old are you now?
2012, 7 years.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. Love it. So obviously, high level, really fast, describe the team you have. And then we're going to, this whole thing is really about a fellow podcaster, an agent running a team, doing a phenomenal job. And, you really took this on, and we want to talk about like the impact of it, why it matters, et cetera. But first, give them just context. What's the size of your team? How many transactions?
Sure.
Like,
absolutely.
Just help us understand that, and then we'll jump into all this podcast
Our
stuff.
current team, thankfully, we are now up, including myself, to 14 sales agents.
Yeah.
We
Congrats.
have 5 people. 2 of these sales agents are in the administrative leadership team, right?
Got
So Carolina, who you met, ops
Yes.
manager, full TC. They have a full-time assistant. We just hired Adrian, who is our manager. He's also going to keep his database because he's been in the business 23 years.
Yeah, smart.
And then Lucy, who's in production, she runs our new agent program.
Got it.
So 14 people in sales, 3 other admins, and then we have a marketing company, and there's 5 people involved in the marketing company, 3 full-time, 2 part-time. So 2 different companies living under one roof, servicing each other.
Got it. How many
Transactions. So year to date, we're over 150. Carolina is not in the room, so I don't have the exact number in my head. We're at just over 60 million for the year, and trending to close out at about 75 million for this year in 2019.
Congrats. So, and how about yourself? How, like, personal transactions?
Personal,
production?
my transactions went down this year, and our numbers for the team went up. So that whole
transferring skills
is happening. It's working.
Yes. Servant leader.
And when I say 14 agents, we've been in recruiting mode here the last 3-4 months. So that number's basically doubled, right?
Wow.
So we're now looking to be $100 million team next year for sure. It's going to happen. It's on the board in the office. $100 million team.
We have a mission, ladies and gentlemen.
2020, we will be a $100 million team in Connecticut.
You need to like put like the man on the moon with a flag, but the flag is like your logo, right? So, all right. So let's talk about. First of all, thank you for that, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's talk about. First of all, what was your first move into podcast? Why did you do it? What were you thinking? Maybe just kind of share that backstory.
Yeah, and I look at podcasting really as, do you produce a weekly pillar show, right? And so I would say my second year in the business, I started producing, not the Real Word, the show I do now, a different show, and it was weekly. It was every single week, and we did about 170 something episodes on that show. Anyways,
what years was this?
I would say that was 15, 14 maybe where I started that show. And so that was every single week. Had a business partner I don't have anymore, relaunched, new team, all of that 2 years ago, and started the Real Word. Same kind of or similar concept where it was more agent focused content. And so anyways, going back to the original show, where I started seeing it working was when I had word of mouth happening at scale. When I had referrals from people that I wasn't in front of all of the time. They weren't friends that I was going out and having coffee with or anything like that. People were sending me referrals, right, that I hadn't seen until or since I had my license. I didn't even connect with them until, before I had my license, basically, right? So that's when I'm like, there's something here. I've got to keep doing this. I got to do it every single week. I have to be consistent on it. It's got to be in my calendar every single Monday at 10:30 that I'm recording the show, or it's just not going to happen. That original show ended up getting me an introduction to my first development, right? So 2 sisters watch a show on YouTube, and they have a brother who's a developer. This brother had an agent for 25 years because his dad hired the agent when they started the company. So they had a 76 lot subdivision. He had sold 67 of the 76. Pretty good.
That's really
right.
Good. But all the money in a
Is
development deal is all on the very end, right? The last, 7, 8, 10, 15 lots.
Correct. So they had 9 left. They had to get them. So they were sitting on a couple spec homes as well. And the sister said to the brother, "You've got to interview this guy. He's putting out some really interesting videos, some content." They brought me in, one pitch. Next week, I signed the rest of the listing away. We end up selling that out, and then that launched me into getting some new development. We have a $60+ million 3-year exclusive on a new development in Connecticut right now, and I wouldn't have had those opportunities. And by the way, and this is where people fall down on creating a show. They focus on how many thumbs up am I getting? How many comments am I getting? Those 2 sisters, Tom, they didn't comment. They didn't share the YouTube video.
No.
They didn't like it.
Yes.
They told their brother to call this guy, and they picked up the phone and called me. And then I had an interview and got 9 lots, and then so on and so forth going on into the future.
So if you're watching this right now, obviously he's taking you to the sort of the beautiful side, the end result of not, like when I'm thinking of like in 2007 when I launched my YouTube show, and like literally it was like cat videos, Charlie bit my finger.
That's super
like,
early.
Right. And like literally like I'd like, oh, well, we have 7 views. And I'm like, well, I know I was 5 of them. Right. Yeah. Like, but that's how everybody gets started. So but what was the original, like, why did you do it?
Why I did it?
You gave me the benefit, but
all the top agents in my market, it's over 60-year-old average age in my market in Connecticut, right? So they were all hammering newspaper. Newspaper's dramatically overpriced, certainly in everybody's market. It's not effective, and everybody clearly knows that. What was going to be my angle, right? So I started using Facebook. I was the guy too, Tom, by the way, that before I got into sales, I didn't even use Facebook. Like my wife was using it to connect to people. I was like the guy not on it, right?
Yeah.
Got on there, started just using Facebook, posting videos there, YouTube, and that was my angle to try. I didn't have any money either, right?
Sure.
I had come out of bankruptcy, literally no money.
Yeah.
So what can I do for free to get attention, to drive awareness?
Yeah.
And so that was why I did it in the very beginning.
So let's talk about the real word. You and Nicole and the rackets, like
the rackets.
First of all, like it's funny because there's a company, I forget what they're called, Landmark Education Corporation. Okay. And like they do this series of events. It's the early stuff. Like it's like it's Warner Earhart, right, from its very origin. And they talk about rackets, and like I went to that course a million years ago. So every time I hear rackets, I have a totally different interpretation of it. Yeah. What the hell? I mean, I see tennis rackets in the show.
Yes.
What is the whole rackets like?
Our definition of racket is this bullshit or not?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Is it a racket? Is it a racket? Exactly. Right? And there's actually a funny story to that. We got flown out after we did episode 1 of The Real Word. Mm-hmm. We did episode 1, and we did it on Greg Haig in Arizona, who was doing the Stop Zillow campaign. Yeah. And so we basically put out our opinion on the Stop Zillow campaign. Yeah. He says, hey, I'd love to do a Facebook Live with you guys, a little debate. So we did a little debate. After we did that debate, we kind of built some rapport with him. He flew us out all the way to Arizona for that launch party, right? Yep. And we're sitting on the plane, Nicole and I, and her mother's like texting her. And so she's like, oh my gosh, there's like all this noise outside, the birds or the squirrels, something. It's like causing a racket. Then 3 hours later, she's complaining about like her cable bill or something like that. She's like, these guys are running a racket. We're like, she's using racket in all these different contexts. It's ridiculous. Yes. And so then we added that to the show. We're like, this is just hilarious. We were laughing about it at the time. And that's where it kind of took off. Now people are sending us rackets. We're like accumulating more rackets.
I've been seeing the tennis rackets. So, what is the outcome of that show? What is the purpose of that show for the people that haven't seen it? And certainly we'll link it up so they can get access to it. Why do you guys do it? What is the point you're trying to get across? Who is the audience? Who is it for, et cetera?
It's absolute brand building with agents, right? So agent awareness for referrals, for opportunities that we're not even talking about or thinking about right now, right? I want to build I'm 35 years old, Tom. I want to build a portfolio in this business for a long time, right? So if I'm talking about the industry, if I'm sharing content, sharing our thoughts and opinions on what's happening, I'm going to stay relevant, top of mind with the key players. It could be CEO of X company. It could be anybody, right? So it's agents that are new, agents that are in management, whatever, right? So it's agent awareness. We get referrals, obviously, from that awareness, but that's the game. And so how we break the show down. Pick 2 trending topics in the real estate industry, and then we do what we're calling a marketeer of the week. That's kind of a new wrinkle where we highlight somebody doing something interesting in marketing and real estate. But the 2 topics, we're literally just taking the headline of the trending topics and then using that, right?
Yeah, because just talking about it.
We want to have content for the rest of the week, but we don't want to sit there on a Monday or on a Tuesday and just be filming all day, planning out everything we're going to say. We're definitely not scripting anything. We're digesting the content and then giving our opinions on it, right? Yeah.
If you haven't seen the show, I think what makes it so dynamic, like you're clearly the straight man, right? Like, you are just, you're kind of stoic, kind of focused. Like he's smiling right now. And he was smiling last night as I was crushing him in dice. But outside of that, you're kind of you're a very focused individual.
Correct.
Right. Who doesn't smile a lot.
Correct.
Okay.
I have a terrible smile. Well,
you have a fantastic
smile. I have a smile, but I have a terrible problem at smiling.
Yes. Yeah. So we're not trying to affirm this, but then like Nicole, on the other hand, is like bubbly and energetic, and the two of you, the dynamic it's fantastic.
She's a magnet for people. I mean,
how did she get involved? Like, was it right out of the gate that like you just said, hey, we got to do the show together?
So when, I had known Nicole for a few years before her and I started working together a couple of years ago. I mean, this is all 2 years, right? The last 2 years. Created a friendship. We like instantly had a really great connection and rapport. I met her because she started doing this project called The House that Social Media Built. Okay. Yes. So she had
say that again.
The House that Social Media Built.
Please talk about that.
She has a trademark too, by the way. Anyway, she had a investor who at the time said, you got to do something creative or I'm going to find another agent. I need to sell these flips. So she went to Facebook and she said, all right, she does all the design anyways. Let me just control the whole design. And she gave it to the followers. Gave them the magic. Vote on the countertop, vote on the cabinet, vote on the tile. What ended up happening after into the whatever number 7th, 8th house, the local Fox 61 sponsors them. They get sponsors from all these different tile companies, contractors, everybody, right? Over 600 people show up to every single one of their reveal parties because they feel like they're a part of the journey building the house.
Of course.
It's all on Facebook. I mean, they do Instagram too, but the voting is all in the comment section of these posts. So they get over 1,000 comments per post. The organic juice is ridiculous. And so that's how we originally met. She was inviting me to those parties. Like, we became friends. And
okay, I just want to stop for a second. The person listening right now, did you just hear like what they're doing? It is bananas.
It is bananas.
Like how impactful has that been for her brand, the combined sort of team brand, like
everything? And there's you've got to be strategic about it, right? Because sometimes people will call her because they just think she's a designer and they don't realize she's a real estate agent.
Yes.
Hey, my real estate agent says I should do this. She's like, excuse me? Your real estate agent says what? Like, I'm a real estate agent.
I can help you with that.
You're a real estate agent?
Oh my God, I thought you were the designer.
Right, you can go a little bit too far with it where they think you're like some celebrity.
Yes.
So she's got to be a little bit more strategic and direct. I am a real estate agent right here in your town.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So
helping my client make decisions to sell their property.
But the awareness obviously in terms of the community, but also with our ability to recruit now, since we've kind of turned that knob over and we're in full recruiting mode, people want to be a part of it. And especially with her, she's just
super dynamic.
Absolutely.
Super dynamic. So what would you say, like, tell us, like, why does this not work? Like, what about the podcast has been bad?
Nothing.
Are you sure? No haters?
Oh no, absolutely. There's going to be some hate,
and that's not a bad thing. We've talked about this before.
And certainly with where I go, where I'm talking about the industry, right? If I'm going to be supportive of a move that Zillow's making, there's going to be a lot of haters for a piece of that content. By the way, Zillow's our best performing content usually. If I'm going to talk about Compass, right? So maybe something I say or don't say, a Compass agent might disagree with. So it's a gray area. It's an area that most people wouldn't do.
We're talking about news, right?
We're talking about news, and it's real estate
political
news.
Environment. Man, half are gonna love you and half are gonna hate you. And,
exactly. Yeah. But if I'm getting 51%, I could be the president.
That's exactly right.
That's right. So you want to have some people that are really passionate about what you're doing. But I'm always reminding people up front, this is my opinion, right? Like, disagree, put in the comments. Like, I'm totally open to the discussion. It's how we're all going to learn. It's how the really good agents and the great teams are going to stay ahead of that curve, right? Listening to your content, paying attention, having thoughtful conversations, getting in masterminds. All of that's really important for the next level.
Let's talk about production, who's involved, how many people, like to create that one show, how many people touch it, how many people are behind cameras, who's doing your post-production. And then I want to get into distribution, because a lot of people are now, I mean, even if you're just creating it like this, right? It's getting the content out. It's getting it in front of people. So I want to hear what your thoughts are on distribution. But first, production, post-production, give us some insight.
So either Sam or Suave is doing the Tristan roll, the video and the audio, all of that.
Okay.
Vanessa is in the room. She's our writer. She's also my sister. And she's sitting there time stamping, all of the copy for all the breakout
Does that
pieces.
sound familiar? That'd be like Mark standing over here in the corner as he's taking all the notes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, love it.
And so she gives the timestamps to Sam or to Suave, and they go out, they do their little 30-second, 60-second Instagram bits, all of that. Jill, who is our creative director, she actually does the distribution. So I'll post to my personal Instagram and that kind of stuff, but all the other places it goes, LinkedIn and all these different places, she's doing the distribution, when it goes out, where it goes out, doing the thumb. She actually is a graphic designer by trade. She does the thumbnail. So those 3 or sometimes 4 on the back end.
Yeah.
Nicole and I are showing up, shooting the show,
Yeah.
and then getting back to work type of thing. But yeah, it's a lot of people involved.
Yeah. What do you recommend for an agent that probably right now you just talked him out of doing a show based upon that?
Right.
Like, did you start that
No.
way? I mean, like,
no.
This is how I started. Like those boxes over there, my flip video camera, I would hit start and go, hey, and I would just jump in. And even if I made a mistake, it didn't matter. And then I would literally go like this, and the thumb drive or whatever thing would show up. I'd put it in my computer and upload it to YouTube and go. That's how I started.
My original YouTube channel actually was deleted when I ended my partnership. So you probably can't go back and find one of those original shows. But if you go back, it would be embarrassing for me. So it's probably a good thing, right? I was literally
awesome.
I was setting up the tripod, right, like camera like this, and I would go behind it, press start, walk over here. I would edit in like Windows movie something or some stupid thing. Didn't know what I was doing. Total hack job.
Yes.
But I was uploading to YouTube every single week. I was uploading to Facebook every single week. We were doing everything, writing the copy, all of that kind of stuff. And I did that for 170 episodes, over 300 videos on that original YouTube channel was all just me trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I never figured it out, by the way. I wasn't good at it.
Exactly.
But it got out there.
So what about today? Have you ever used any outsourced solutions? You ever uploaded videos and sent them over to somebody on Fiverr or iFreelance and Brenda, pipe in here too. Like I'd be super curious because Brenda's been podcasting for a long time. Brenda, just come over and jump in the show. Really
jump
fast.
in, Brenda.
Brenda, what other show? We were just doing a podcast and you totally took over. Unlike Courtney over here, who totally dominated my Instagram yesterday live. So Brenda, jump into the show. So Brenda.
Hi, Byron.
Hi, Brenda.
Do you have any insight on here? I mean, like I think people should be doing this, and I think the challenge is most of them, they as Byron was saying, and certainly we can look at our own team. It can be a little overwhelming. Yeah. How does one just get started with a ghetto no budget?
So easy. You can start with your phone, and with the app where you record voice recording, you can simply do that, and then just maybe email the recording and just upload it on either on YouTube or on Podbean, Libsyn. The accounts are like from $12 to $15 depending what you want. And
those are like distribution portals that put it on every okay.
And like iPhone 11, which is like everybody's hammer and saw, is better than the camera I was using in 2015 or 14, right? Like it's just really good. Yeah. So use that to your point. Just use your phone.
Other thoughts?
I guess if you want to go a little more pricey, around like $60, use the ATR 2100 microphone. That can simply...
No idea what that is.
It's a simple microphone, guys. You just connect it to the USB into your laptop, and then with GarageBand, you start recording. It's simple like that, or you want to go with a phone.
And I've got a little creative hack to this. We were talking about this before the show because Brenda's has some experience in radio. Is I would go and find a sponsor for your local market to sponsor you to have a weekly radio show because they have really good mics. They've got really good equipment. So you do a live show on, say, it's going to be a Saturday or Sunday where they're probably going to give you a spot, right? Do a weekend show, get the recording from the radio station, upload it to your podcast, right? You can go Facebook Live. You could build an email list. There is a lot you can do by going traditional and then using it for podcasts and all of our mediums that we're on today.
Yeah, you can simply just go on Google and search podcast recording studios, and they charge you for let's say $50 an hour. Yeah. And you can also pay for them to edit it and just send you all the file format, and you can just upload it. So there's really no excuse to not do a podcast.
No excuse. And be thoughtful about who you, like if you're doing local content. My radio show is all local, right?
Yep.
It's CT Real Estate Radio. Be thoughtful about who you want to attract as your customer.
Yes.
I'm not particularly, not that I'm against millennial buyers and sellers, but
you are one.
I am one. But I'm my avatar is all in on 45, 50 plus.
Yeah.
I want the baby boomers. Like, I don't think enough people realize the baby boomers are going to hold on to their money really tight for the next 20 years. They're going to buy and sell and transact in real estate a lot.
Yes.
That's a segment of the market that I want to be involved in if I'm a real estate agent, if I'm a listing agent first.
Yep.
And that age group is still listening to talk radio.
Yes.
So get on a talk radio show.
Talk radio.
Don't talk politics like they're going to talk during the week.
Yep.
But get on and say, like I do, hey, CT Real Estate Radio, we talk about the economy, your local neighborhood, your community. We don't talk about politics. Let's roll, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we go with it. But your audience is used to listening to talk radio. They're going to still have the station in their car on in the weekends.
Yep.
It's a value proposition that nobody in our market has. Hey, we're going to do your open house on the third segment of the radio show, right? It's a unique proposition that you talk about all the time.
Yep.
And your audience is there.
Yeah. So did you build like an avatar, like who your ideal customer was, and then you create content specific? It sounds like that's what you've done.
On the
like,
radio
was it
show,
very
for
intentionally
sure.
early, like, okay, my listener is 55 years old. She's in her car right now. She's, he's in his car, yada, yada. How do I speak life to that person?
Exactly. Yeah. So we don't talk politics, but we'll bring in some, the first selectmen in certain towns and these kind of things to only talk about economic development and that kind of stuff. Right. But those names are the people that they want to hear from.
Bingo. When we were in New York City, right? We were at Team Plus, and we're talking about it. I'm like, guys, if I were you, I'd go back and I'd interview the university professor of economics. I would talk to anybody in law, anybody in real estate, anybody in housing, all of your local government officials, and you could just see the lights going off because most of you know these people, right? Because you're in your towns. You're the mayor of your town as a real estate professional. What happens when you interview those people? What happens when they're on your show?
Here's a great story.
Tell me.
Last year, Connecticut had a race for governor. Governor was out, and so everybody was kind of throwing their hat into the mix, right? There was like 12, 13, 15 different people. One of the people that was not even on the radar, they wanted to get on the show. I was the first person ever to interview him. He ends up winning his party, going head to head he lost, barely lost, but I was his first interview. He remembers that, right?
Oh, yeah.
He actually lives in my hometown.
Yes.
We actually interviewed some of his friends on the radio show just last week. He's coming onto the podcast. He's going to run again. That's a great relationship to have because he remembers, and he did a ton of all kinds of press, throughout his journey of running.
Yeah.
But I was his first interview.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. I mean, I want to get back to distribution, but we're just this is a podcast. We're just bouncing around and having fun. So, how do you select who gets on the show? What's your vetting process for whether it's the radio show or like your original show, what you're doing is agent focused, and you've interviewed a ton of agents. Real Word, I think it's just I've been on it, and the broke agent's been on it. Outside that, it's just the two.
And he didn't even belong to be on. No, I'm joking.
Because he's the broke.
He's
agent.
the broke agent.
I bust Eric's chop all the time. Like what a fantastic little thing he's created there.
It really is.
Real estate memes, real estate humor, right? And he's just a good guy. So if you're not following the at the broke agent on all channels, you totally
or
should.
If you are following him and you just want to unfollow him and follow me, that's absolutely acceptable as well.
He's the rich agent, in case you're wondering.
Exactly.
So how do you vet, like, who do you go after?
Yeah.
How do you vet them?
So like on the Byron Lazine podcast, it is a lot of people that I know, right? I just had Christoph on the other day. He took me on a fabulous tour, right?
Big shout out to Christoph.
So a lot of people in the ecosystem, the Tom Ferry ecosystem. I mean, if it wasn't for this ecosystem, I would not be where I am today. So I want to give back to people thinking about coaching, people just thinking about starting a real estate career. Like when I had Lisa Chinati on, my biggest real estate crush of 2019, right?
Yes.
I've had Doug, Tom Toole, all these guys on because they're people I know. They're people that are doing great work in the industry.
Yes.
And I'm going to hang out with them all the time like we always do, right? But if we're going to get together, we might as well have that same conversation and document it.
Bingo. and then share it and help everybody else.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, yes. All right. Let's talk about distribution, because let's assume somebody's listening to this right now and they're like, you know what? I'm shooting it on my iPhone. I bought a microphone, guys, podcast, video, we're talking about just doing content.
Yeah.
What are all the different ways you've learned to get the content out?
Find a distribution channel bigger than you just uploading and running a boosted ad on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So if it's local content, connect with the chamber. They have an email list that they're using, but they're not producing great content most of the time on. You can partner with them and just give them free content. So offer your content for free as much as you can, so other people will put it out on their email list or whatever, right? So I did that with Inman for the Real Word.
Yep.
I think from really episode 1 or 2, we got it on Inman. I had my old show. They were posting that sometimes, and that's good for 300, 400, 500 views a week just off of that one channel, right? You get into their email list sometimes, so on. So
I love the Chamber of Commerce idea.
The Chamber's a gold mine that people aren't using because they probably likely have one of the biggest email lists in your market.
Yes. Of all the small businesses.
And people are paying attention to it. They're reading it because they want to know when the next event is.
Okay. So what else? Local, that's a great little nugget for everybody listening. Local Chamber of Commerce. What else? Obviously, let's go watch Facebook, Insta,
those
LinkedIn,
kind of things.
Twitter,
Absolutely.
YouTube.
Yes. All of it.
Do you have an email list?
We do. So we put it out on email every single week.
How impactful is email? I've been harping on this.
You
for
harped on it,
decade.
and I was really bad at email, meaning not doing it, right? Yeah. And so about probably, I guess, a year and a half ago, we were somewhere. You pointed at me. You said, "You're an idiot. You're not using email for your."
When I say that, it's only out of love.
And I think it was just like Team Plus or something, so you could say it. It wasn't.
We're amongst friends, right?
Yeah, it was like that East Coast mentality.
Yes.
Maybe we're on the East Coast.
Yes.
But you're right. It was really stupid of me not to be using email, right? So we have our team consumer facing email and all of our content from the team goes out there. I have the Byron Lazine email list. It goes out to a number of agents. We use the Jason Pantana tip too. We had these big email lists that we weren't using. So we started weekly sending out emails. Then we went through who's never opened this. Let's remove them. The open rates went way up.
Bingo.
And to his point, not as many people bounce, not as people are unsubscribing. You have all that good email juice, whatever it's called, happening in your world. And now we're actually, in the Byron Lazine one, we're getting, 5, 10, 15 new subscribers each week. And so it builds up quickly.
Yes.
The radio show email list is basically us taking the callers. We give away free gift cards that we get donated every single week. We do like a game where, maybe the 5th or 6th or 7th person will get it right. But all those people that called in, Chris, the board guy at the radio, gets their number, gets their email. We send everybody a little something. The winners get a gift card. And we've built up an email list of 1,000 people just off of those calls in the last couple of years.
Local people
all
in your marketplace.
Local people.
Hello, people. You are just dropping some bombs here. And even though we're bouncing between, obviously, like
I'm all over
radio,
the place,
2 different
but
shows. No, but I mean, it's great. I mean, like the collective is fantastic.
I have 5 a.m. calls on other podcasts, like a whole bunch of different shows. I don't suggest being maybe as ADD as I am or as it sounds like. Have one show when you start and then build from there. But all of these pieces of content are pillar shows that now, talking about distribution, you can share a 30-second piece on Instagram. You can have somebody write or transcribe and then have a blog that you post natively to LinkedIn or on your blog or onto Inman or to wherever.
Bingo. What about, like you talked about the chamber as an example. What about doing partnerships, like partnership content as an example?
We were talking about this yesterday and like the light bulb went off with the webinar stuff to drive more subscribers to your email list. I'm going to start to get really direct and strategic around email because we've done well. You made a really good point on it.
I'm pushing.
But now I'm like, I need to take it to the next level. This is ridiculous. Not doing a webinar or doing a webinar locally, right? Or with agents, recruiting. Like there's a lot of different opportunities. And to your point, they're now going to share that on their email list. They're going to promote it on their Facebook page, and you're going to get more awareness. So I need to do more of that, so just straight up.
Everybody listening, just consider the following. Ready? So what I was sharing with this mastermind group yesterday is, if I was in your town and I was an agent or I was a mortgage loan officer or I was a title rep, like, I'm touching consumers. I've got my database of customers, right? but I'm going to go interview like the biggest local designer. I'm going to go interview the biggest local architect. I'm going to go interview the biggest, spec builder in my town. I'm going to find that, look, 17% of the GDP in the US is housing, right? Mm-hmm. There is so many businesses, so much money. I'm going to go interview all those people. But unlike just me saying, hey, Byron, you've got the best furniture design store in town, I want to interview on my show. Hey, I want to interview on my show. I want you to email it to your list because I'm going to validate the heck out of you and I'm going to sell you better than you can sell you because it's a third party deal.
Correct.
And then I want to just talk about design with you so you can educate my customer base. And now all of a sudden we do this piece of content, right? You guys with me on this? Like could be anybody in your town that owns a business that touches housing. You with me? It could be the best florist in town. It could become the best, outside designer of plants and what are those people called? Like I'm spacing
the plant people?
The plant people, designers, right? But the point is anybody who also has distribution, anybody who also has an email list, a Facebook page. And so now we're cross-promoting each other.
Yeah.
And everybody's adding new names and subscribers to their list. Like it's bananas that this is done every day in business, but in real estate, I don't see it so much.
And if you're not getting a response from, hey, I'd love to take you out for coffee, trying to create a relationship with so-and-so. Hey, I'd like to interview you and send you out to my 3,000 person email list is going to get their attention. They're going to respond to that.
1,000%. I got to tell you, we're experiencing it right now. It's very easy to get guests, right? Because you say, hey, we've got a 400,000 person email list. This is going to go to a lot of people. They're like, oh, right?
Yeah.
And big and small, like I'm next week, I think it is, we're interviewing Laird Hamilton and Gabrielle Reese, right?
Yeah. JD went crazy when you said that name.
For sure, right? And so did John on my team. He's like, all these surfer guys are like, what? I'm like, friend of mine said, you got a podcast. These guys have a message. They want to get it out. You know what they're doing? They're on tour as anybody is who's got a business, trying to get as many people as possible to hear about what it is they're doing, right? If you become the source in your town for all those small businesses, and then you partner with the Chamber of Commerce and you're both sending out the content, your brand is going to explode.
Yeah. Don't try to create the relationship first. Use that as the start to creating the relationship.
Bingo. I'd love for you to be on my show. I want to expose you to the 3,000 local homeowners in my, anybody that's in housing is going to say yes. Any politician is going to say, heck yes.
They're going to say yes. Business owners, they're looking for more attention.
100%. Yep. So what would you say are mistakes to avoid?
Not having it in your schedule.
Yeah.
Every single week so that it's consistent. So you're putting out content every single week on every single platform and staying relevant. That's a mistake. I would say, don't go political. I go right up to the line if you want, but don't go political. That'd be a mistake. I just think not doing. I think you're going to learn so much by doing it, right? Even if you're afraid that there's no organic juice left on Facebook. So what? Like, do it anyways. There's going to be a new thing next. Like, just keep doing and learning from those experiences. You're going to get better over time. I honestly don't believe there's too many mistakes that are going to hurt your business unless you're just being ridiculous.
Yeah. But even if you are being ridiculous, that could just become your brand,
that
right?
Could help too.
You know what I mean? Like, if you're funny, if you're a singer, I think of like Mickey Glassman, who's probably listening to this right now. Like, the gal can sing for days, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, I'm just convinced that like she should probably just be singing all the time, in addition to selling like 100 plus homes a year and making $1 gazillion, right? Because that's her personality. So is that a mistake? Like not being your true self? Like
that's a mistake.
A little too like I'm perfect at everything I do.
That's a mistake I've made. Is not sharing enough personal stuff. Yeah. So like Jill Biggs and some of these guys, it was like a month or two ago. They're like, Byron, enough of the bullshit.
Yeah.
Like in 2.5 years, I've never posted a picture of my daughter.
Yeah.
So I took their advice and I did that.
Yeah.
You know what that did? It ended up generating 4 coffee meetings from people I had not been in touch with for years.
Yeah.
Right. But they made a comment. I wrote them back. Then we ended up, in an instant message. Man, it's so nice that you like shared that love and this and that. And then, hey, let's get together. Let's reconnect.
Yep. Humanizing.
Yes. People think I'm an alien. Like literally people were like, I didn't even know you had a daughter. Yeah. Because I never posted a photo of her in 2.5 years. Right. Because I'm more like, it just wasn't my style. But whether it's your style or not, you need to do what works. You need to do what connects you to more people. If you're in recruiting mode like we are, they need to know that you're somebody they want to work with. So that's where I've really...
And that recruiting is also like client attraction.
Yeah.
Same exact thing.
Exactly.
Babies and dogs.
Yeah.
Right?
I won't get a dog, but
I'm just telling you right now.
Not that I hate dogs.
No, but like even if you're a single person, you should just get babies in your photos and have dogs.
Yeah,
because
just get dogs.
You just look at the data. Like it's just like you post a photo of like a dog and it just goes.
I just saw
a dog with a funny smile on its face. Forget it.
I just saw a Subaru commercial.
Yeah.
I think it was yesterday or today on YouTube or something. It was just dog after dog after dog after dog. And then the Subaru, I couldn't hear it. I wasn't listening to the audio. The Subaru logo at the end. I'm like, they just put dogs on there. That's all they did.
They went like this. I love dog. I love Subaru. I love.
That was it.
That's all they did. Right. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about mistakes. We've talked about distribution. Any other insights you want to share on this? So, I mean, again, he's got a radio show. You got 2 different podcasts you're doing. You're putting out a lot of content, right? It's clearly impacting your brand. And it's really only been since 2015 that this real explosion took on, even though you had your show before, right?
I mean, it's really the last 2 years.
Yeah.
17, all the stuff I did before was to get me to that point.
Yep.
So 17, the end of 17, really 18 and 19. I mean, that's really the team we're in now.
Yeah.
2018, we did just over 40 million. Mm-hmm. We're going to do 75 million this year. We're going to do 100 million next year. And that's all in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Busy and a lot of growth.
Busy.
So as we wrap it up, any sort of closing thoughts for the community, the ecosystem, the people that are listening to this?
I would say all this stuff that you need to do, you do need to do it, but you can't do it until you invest in you first. I'm such a big believer in Jim Rohn. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
Yeah.
Our mission statement at our team is hardest working team. The number one core value is be better today than you were yesterday, right? Incrementally get a little bit better. So for me, that's a morning routine, right? Yeah. As 99% of my days are consumed by waking up and doing a morning routine. That doesn't mean you have to get up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m., right? But you do need a time in the morning or at the end of the day or whatever's comfortable for you where you're investing in yourself, where you're being selfish first before you can be selfless.
Yep.
And if you're not doing that, you're not going to have the energy, the ambition, the desires to do all of this other stuff. The crazy schedule that you're going to build out for yourself will not happen if you're not doing that.
Yeah. Discipline number one. I'd even argue what time you go to bed and then the morning routine.
I agree with that.
That'll be a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
Byron, thank you so much for jumping on the show, man. I totally appreciate it. I appreciate you and, super fun. I mean, obviously you guys can see we know each other. So we're playing off, a fun relationship. Yeah. I've watched you grow and it has been nothing shy of tremendous. So
dude,
100 million next year, brother.
I would say 99% of the growth is the community you've built, the relationships I've gotten from this ecosystem.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for that.
You got it, brother. You got it. All right, guys, enjoy this podcast. Give us some comments. Make sure you follow them on Instagram and everything else. Let's see if we should all just go and heart up that baby photo.
That's on my Facebook personal
page. All right, well, that's cool. All right, so we have to friend him, I guess, first. Yeah. And then really fast, all the shows. So they should check out Real Word.
Real Word.
I was like,
we just dropped the L.
That MTV?
That was MTV. Yeah, that's how we got there.
That's perfect, right?
Drop the L.
Real Word, and then the Byron Lazine Show.
Yeah.
You find it on podcast.
Byron Lazine YouTube. You'll get a lot of this content.
Yeah.
5amcall.com if you are interested in some type of morning routine. Any of that stuff. CT Real Estate Radio if you want the local look at what we're doing on the radio show. There's a whole bunch of it. If you go on byronlazine.com, you'll see it all.
Yeah, and good stuff to R&D, baby. Rip off and duplicate. That's what it's all about. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.